our inaugural Vox in the Box for the 2025-2026 Minnesota Wild season. Nordo produces on site. Devin Ward is guiding the great ship Love Covenant at FM 100.3 KFAN, and I'm Paul Allen. Happy to be at the right hand of Russo Radio. To the right of Russo Radio, as we all watch Jules Eriksson, Pepper, Gustafson, who's between the pipes, in advance of the morning skate. And from talking to John Hines earlier, sounds like 50-50-ish that Jules Eriksson will play this evening. Looks pretty good to the untrained eye, though. And Russo Radio joins us now at Russo Hockey via X, athletic.com. We've chatted on the radio. Fist bump right here. Haven't seen you in forever. How have you been?
Good. Yeah. Get back, survived that 2-week trip. Now leave tomorrow for a 3-game trip, and then leave for the Olympics soon after that. So we've had meeting after meeting after meeting to prepare for the Olympics. It's really impressive the work that the New York Times does behind the scenes to keep us safe, to make sure that we're ready and have enough equipment.
What do you mean keep you safe?
Well,
you're going to Milan, not Mogadishu.
Well, I mean, it's the Olympics. You never know. I mean, Nordo just choked.
Sorry about that. I was drinking some water.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is the Olympics. There's always protests. There's always, a chance of terrorism. There's always, we are the New York Times.
Have you been to Milan?
Many times.
Yeah, you've been everywhere in the world, man.
Yeah, I was there in August for like 3 days, and then we were there actually a couple summers ago.
One of those LaPanta trip bits?
No, that was the NHL media tour.
Oh.
And then,
was that where Gus Bus had some access?
Yep, yeah, it sat down with Gus. It was one of 28 guys, just me. So it was kind of cool. I was the only North American writer there.
Yeah.
And then actually our LaPanta trip this year does start in Milan. So yeah, it's
of course
pretty
does.
Cool.
So when you were in Milan, perchance, did you get a chance to see Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper?
No, I've seen it before, and I am actually going this summer to see it. So I don't think I'll have chance while we're there. I mean, our schedule is we have like 30 writers there and a bunch of editors, but the 5 of us covering hockey, our schedule is just nuts. I don't think I have a day off while at the Olympics. So I can't see. I can't see seeing it this time.
Let's see how up to speed you are on this, because you're up to speed on so many things with so many different sports. I'll just build it up if you don't know the name. Then we'll dagger it and see what your thoughts are. Lynn Jones.
Lynn Jones.
Okay, so you know who she is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's frame it up this way. Lynn Jones, the lady with Liam Cohen, after the Jags loss, and you're preeminent beat writer for multiple decades. Did her approach to Liam Cohen bug you?
It didn't bug me. Like, I didn't respond to it on X, because the thing I don't like.
Well, you were the only one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just going to say. Like, I don't like how people just pile on in today's day and age.
Oh, it got hot in a hurry.
Yeah, I mean, and then it makes all of us look bad, because then it creates this perception that we think that we're just much more important than we actually are.
Thank you.
I do think, though, it's just not the place. Like, I've had many conversations when you're offline where you say to a player, "Hey, great game tonight," or, like stuff like that. I didn't love it's not our place to give pep talks, but again, in today's day and age, even though she's clearly, because I've read a lot about her, she's clearly a well-credentialed and very experienced reporter. She's usually not in that setting, but in today's day and age, it is just a different world than what a lot of us dinosaurs grew up in. You have a lot of unorthodox media, or that's definitely the wrong word, but
non-traditional.
Non-traditional. There you go. And the rules have sort of changed.
Unorthodox would have worked there.
The rules have sort of changed in today's day and age. Like, I just don't. I think you have a lot of people that didn't go to journalism school, not that I necessarily did,
I know what you mean,
or just grew up in the business. I mean, like there's writers in New Jersey right now that I'm watching that are sitting there live tweeting when Tom Fitzgerald is going to get fired and where his car is, and these are writers that actually work for major newspapers. I mean, this is stuff that just would never happen, a while ago. And so in terms of the Lynn Jones thing, I mean, I certainly wasn't bothered by it.
Right.
I will say that
kind of made me laugh.
Yeah, but I will say in today's day and age, especially covering football, where as you guys joke all the time on Vikings, the two more.
Time for two more.
Yeah, time for two more.
It's always
that would bother me if there were 9 questions in a presser and one of them was that.
Yeah,
like if you didn't get your question in because that.
Yeah.
But it didn't bother me, and I don't like how people just sit there and try to It was like a twofold thing. It's like they were going after Schechter, but using her as the conduit for it. And, I definitely, if I was in the room, I would have been like, whoa, that is...
Me too.
Yeah,
I would have laughed.
It would have been cringeworthy.
I would have had to cover my mouth. I'd been like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that was unbelievable.
Us as reporters, we get a lot of people that pile on us. And for us to now pile on another reporter over and over and over again incessantly on X, the way that a lot of us or a lot of people in my business seem to be doing, I just thought was inappropriate. Who cares? It's in the grand scheme of life, it means absolutely nothing.
Amen.
And
but you wanted to ask why Cohen didn't run the ball more,
right?
Yeah, exactly. I was really upset. I wanted to know why they weren't attacking downfield.
Right.
That was the downhill, right? Wasn't that the thing that Sean Payton got
yes,
joked around with a reporter yesterday? What was funny about that? There's another one.
Well, I wonder if it was Thomas.
Did you see? No, it wasn't. It was a writer from the Denver Post.
Well, your run game's been absolutely
Woody Hayes? Not Woody Hayes.
No, it was definitely a young reporter.
Woody Hayes.
And Sean did this. None of us knew the context. Reporters then and fans were calling him out for being the biggest jerk ever. And then the reporter that asked the question said that it was no big deal, that we actually joked around about it after. So a lot of times you're seeing 10, 12-second clips. You have no idea the context of stuff.
Yeah. Right.
And it's but we all want to have opinions and get angry about things for no reason. And then next hour something else happens and we want to get angry on that. Social media, man, it's really ruined the world.
With the Wild Jets game this evening.
But follow me at Russo Hockey tonight on X. So you can
Russo Hockey. Help me with this. David Spacek, right?
Yep.
All right, I've heard the name. He's a blue.
I covered
liner.
his dad.
Did you really?
Yeah, in Florida.
And his mother's name was Sissy?
Sissy Spacek.
Okay, so with this call-up, I saw it right before I came into Vox in the Box. Who is he? And why is there a call-up this late in the equation?
Well, they flipped Matt Kierstead and him, and they sent him down. But I think there is an injury. And with the Wild? With the Wild. And I think we're going to find out about it in 14 minutes.
What?
I just have a feeling one of their defensemen is not going to be out there. My guess
is a nice run for Quinn Hughes.
It's not Quinn, so
just
everybody
kidding.
can calm down.
Yeah.
Although I don't think Quinn's overly healthy either.
Really?
Today's the schedule this year has been hellacious, and that's why the Wild just took 2 full days off.
Yeah.
They told us about that before even the Devils game, that they were not going to practice the next couple days. They're not practicing tomorrow. They're not practicing Sunday. The schedule is just beyond belief this season. And it's going to be like this. First of all, starting next year, there's 2 more games in the NHL, so 84.
They go to 84?
But every other year there's going to be either a World Cup or an Olympics. So this is I hope the NHL and the NHLPA realizes what it's doing to the wear and tear of these bodies. I don't think that remember the last time the NHL was in the Olympics was 12 years ago, and this is a different sport right now. And I just think that the amount of wear and tear that these guys put on their bodies is beyond belief.
Cash is king, brother.
Yeah.
Just quickly, the NFL. Okay, so they're probably eventually going to go to 18 games.
And
but
it used to be 16.
This bugged me so much, man, that I let it go over the weekend. But the NFL preaches competitive advantage, competitive disadvantage, keeping everything hunky-dory and squared away and things like that. And then they have a playoff game on Monday night, putting a team on a short week with travel.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Because cash is king, man. It's like, why have 3 games Saturday and 3 games Sunday? Because if you have a noon game Saturday, you say E. Nordquist LLC is advertising, wants to spend $250,000. Well, that's what the number is going to be on Saturday at noon. If E. Nordquist LLC wants to spend that same amount of that or advertise in that same game on Monday night, you can double that number.
Yeah.
It's the cash is king, man. It's just talking out of both sides of your mouth.
I agree with you, and I've done a lot of whining about how dumb the Wild schedule has been this season. But it is such a hard job to just try to do all this because you have all these other entities in there, like stuff that doesn't make sense to us. You don't realize it's because of what you just said.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to your original question. Spacek is a guy that that has performed incredibly on the international stage over and over and over again for Czechia, and the Wild have yet to give him a chance in the NHL. Well, so what's cool is even if he doesn't play tonight, he's going to go on this road trip.
How are we supposed to focus on Spacek when you said there's going to be a blue liner out tonight? You won't tell us who it is.
I think it's Brodin. I think that he's been dealing with something that the Wild have been watching for a while. He missed 4 games in December with an injury, so I don't know if it's based on this or if it's the block shot that he had in Vegas. But I think right now they're going to give him a little time off. I'll be just curious how long, because obviously he's supposed to be an Olympian, and there have been some snubs. I mean, guys like Ekholm and Lindholm, Hampus, I'm saying, and then obviously Ekholm in Edmonton that are defensemen that are probably going to need to be sort of prepared if they're going to wind up in Milan if Broads can't. But I think that, the one that he missed 4 games in December, I had heard at that time that the Wild were really monitoring this and would have to keep an eye on it. So I don't know if it has to do with the block shot in Vegas or this original injury or something else popped up. But I think we're going to find out that he's not on the ice. And then we'll see tonight, like, if Bogosian can go, then you either put Hunt or Middleton with Spurgeon. If Bogosian can't go, we might see Spacek in the lineup tonight, which would be really neat because man, I think the kid is a great kid. I can't tell you how many times, a Ratko Gudas or somebody like that has asked me, why don't they give him a chance? This guy's an NHL player. And again, when they traded for Juracek, who coincidentally is a countryman of his and didn't make the Olympic team, I think all of us thought, well, all right, that's a great indication that the Wild just don't look at David Spacek as having a future in this organization, and we just haven't seen him get his chance. So whether he plays tonight or not, the fact that he's going to probably be on this 3-game road trip likely means that he's going to get a game here because, just the way that the schedule is. I mean, there's a chance somebody's banged up. So his NHL debut could be on the horizon, and we'll find out if it's tonight.
You mentioned the different sport that they're in, and now the combination of adding regular season games with now basically every other year some sort of featured tournament, Olympics or otherwise, taking place in the early spring. How detrimental is it to a team when they don't get this practice time? So whether they're worn down, they got to chill, they take the 2 full days off. But I'm thinking fresh off a road trip, how tough it can be over that 2-week period to actually carve out full, true practice sessions. How detrimental is it during this time
I think
to
it's
connect
tough.
these guys?
I think it shows, even the game against the Devils, they had an optional morning skate. There were only a dozen guys on the ice, and then you watch a game where they're completely can't execute in the offensive zone, missing nets left and right. It just, to me, shows that these morning skates need to be mandatory, and that they have to put a lot of good work in these morning skates, because if you're not going to practice, you got to get these guys playing with pucks. And that was an example the other night where, I said to Joe Smith 2 minutes into that game that this is going to be one of those games, because when you watch Zuccarello miss the net as big as he did, Hartman missed the net, and then obviously JoJo had an open net that was blocked. Boldy missed 4 open nets. Tarasenko missed 1. It just felt like it was going to be one of those games. They missed 16 nets in the first 2 periods.
Right.
And that was a game that if any of those pucks go in, it's a completely different game.
Yeah.
So, because it was the 3rd period where they just unraveled. But as John Hines said the other night, I mean, he wasn't making excuses. He said it really exemplified the entire game as them, where they just weren't sharp. So we will see how they play tonight. They didn't practice the last 2 days, so they should be full of energy. You're playing a Winnipeg team that hasn't been very good. They've got to figure out a way to get 2 points, because this road trip's going to be a tough one. You're playing 3 games in 4 nights. Buffalo's
red
tremendous. And then, the Montreal game, the Wild usually play really well there, but that's the second of a back-to-back after a real tough game in Toronto. So they're in those sort of dog days right now.
15 games, I believe, with Quinn Hughes. What do we think? I think 16 points, just 1 goal. Maybe that we're not worried about that at this stage. What do we think about Quinn?
Yeah, he does. He is playing with something that I think is affecting his shot. I'll say that. His velocity on his shot hasn't been great, but like that game against the Islanders, he could have had 15 points in that game if the Wild finished. He should have had like 10 assists, and he finished with 3. It was just their spatch. I love what I'm seeing. He's completely, the one thing it's done also is shown a lot of these other defensemen that they could join the rush and contribute offensively. The Wild, when Quinn was not on this team, so pre-December 14th, were ranked 29th in defenseman points in the NHL. Since then, they're first. So it just shows you how much everybody now is contributing offensively. He gets the puck up the zone. He is a player that you have to learn to read off because he's so unorthodox where he plays with the puck. He wants it on his stick. There's a reason why in NHL history they think, the analytics sites say that he's had the puck more on his stick than anybody ever. And he has it by like a minute and a half.
How do you come up with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's
how does somebody know how long Gilbert Perreault had the puck on his stick during his career?
That's a good point.
What's ridiculous?
But I remember years ago, remember when Modano, there was some study that was done years and years ago about Modano and how, in an entire game, he might have as good as, he was a 100-point scorer, but in the entire game, he'd have the puck on his stick 30, 40 seconds an entire game, and this guy just wants the puck. He's like a point guard out there.
Outside of the Wild Covenant, as the players head onto the ice for the morning skate with Winnipeg, the bill of fare this evening, 7 o'clock, KFAN. Dean Evison always gets fired in season.
Yeah.
It's well, I mean, it's like when Evison got fired, I was like, damn, man. I mean, it's like my man always gets fired during the season. Is that weird?
I mean, this year it is because I think he's the first, right?
Yeah.
Columbus has had a very disappointing year. He did a great job last year. He was one of the Jack Adams finalists for what he had to navigate through after you lose Johnny Gaudreau right before the year.
Right.
Yep. And this year, they've had a lot of third-period meltdowns. They're not getting great goaltending. And I remember when we were there in December, we were hearing rumblings that stuff was going on behind the scenes that was going to put him in jeopardy. But it still came completely out of the blue. But I will say that morning, our writer that was in Salt Lake City, Aaron Portsline, who's one of the best in the business, had a story where he quoted Don Waddell saying this is the most frustrating year of his entire career. And this is a guy that used to be the GM of the Atlanta Thrashers.
Yeah. Oh.
So whether it's hyperbolic or not.
With Bruno.
Yeah. Whether it's hyperbolic or not, he was claiming that this was the most frustrating year of his career. And he talked openly in that story about, is it the coach? Is it the players? So right away, you're not even getting a vote of confidence. You're basically getting him almost debating in his head on whether or not, something's up. And then the next day he's fired, so it was coming.
So I like Dean Evison a lot. I'm curious and how to frame this up. So in the NFL, for instance, I would look at the Cleveland Browns as an organization that organizationally puts roadblocks in front of coaches, puts roadblocks in the idea of growth, elevation, winning playoff games, and putting themselves atop the food chain of the NFL. Are the Blue Jackets a bit like that? Are there specific organizations where it's just kind of widely known, if I'm Dean Evison or if I'm anybody, I'm going out, there's a head coaching opportunity, I want to coach, want to stay in the league, want to stay a boss on a bench, but I just know it's infinitely tougher to win there, that there are inherent issues that I'm going to have to tackle that could potentially make a moment like this almost inevitable, that there was going to be a tough end for a Dino or whoever's coaching.
I don't know if that's the way I'd frame it. I would just say that the Columbus Blue Jackets have sucked since day one.
Oh, there you go.
That's
easier.
I mean, it really has nothing to do with that. You can't win there as far as a coach, or they're going to get rid of you right away, although they've had an absolute revolving door of coaches. But for some bizarre reason, this team just cannot do anything. And it started with a coin flip before in the expansion draft. They wound up getting the pick over the Wild in the expansion draft in 2000, and the Wild wound up getting the higher draft pick. They took Gaborik. The Columbus Blue Jackets took Klesla. I mean, if you wanted the higher pick, you wanted it to be in the entry draft, not there. And it's just been over and over again, and that's why, I think the Wild fans, because this team can't go on a long playoff run, they start to think that this team is the worst team ever. Just look at their expansion cousins and how just absolutely unsuccessful they've been in the regular season and the very few playoffs they've made. It's truly unreal. At least this organization, we're used to regular seasons that matter every single year, and a team that's going to wind up in the playoffs every single year. So this is interesting. Hines and Hinostroza having a long talk. Hinostroza really has not done much at all since he's been back in the lineup from his injury.
Yeah.
Barely getting points. And even I've been saying you just wonder when Tyler Pitlick's going to get in the lineup. But I was talking to Hinestroza in Seattle the other day, and he said right away, he almost was indicating he's on borrowed time. So,
well, two things to close here. First and foremost, got no 25 out there.
Uh-oh. Yep, no 25.
I don't see a 25 unless maybe ain't no 25. All right, so we got some Brodin related terrorism. Spacek called up, and Jonas Brodin is not on the ice for the morning skate, and everybody else is out there now. And secondly, if you don't subscribe to The Athletic, 9 to noon, we were inaugural subscribers to The Athletic, thanks to Russo Radio and at Russo Hockey. There's a story that Michael and Joe co-wrote about 5 things that will define the Wild second half. I want to hit on a couple of them. Give us your best 30 to 45 seconds on these. First and foremost, Bill Guerin's next move. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that you trade. I'm just thinking this logically. Like, I don't think you trade 4 huge pieces for Quinn Hughes and then be done. Mm-hmm. Because I think that Bill Guerin's probably even looking at this team right now and saying, man, you know, we can be a contender and elevate to the close to a Dallas or Colorado, but you still got to beat probably both those teams in the first 2 rounds to go where you want to go. So I think that they are still probably looking around significantly to get a top 6 forward, probably center being the priority.
Okay.
So I do think that what comes next is going to be the most interesting thing. And then the other thing that I just do wonder is, with the Olympics coming up, when do you make that move? Because if the player you're getting is in the Olympics, you really, it would be heartbreaking if you trade for somebody and then he's hurt at the Olympics. So do you wait till after?
Right.
Or do you, if the player is so good, do you just say, I got to get a jump on everybody else?
Well, okay, lastly, and this was a very enjoyable part of the piece, Kirill Kaprizov and nightly star power. Mm-hmm. For those who didn't see it, describe it.
Well, fans have been even saying it to me, like, when's he going to step up? When's he going to take over games? And you look at his numbers, and they're respectable. He's top 5 in goals. He's top 15 or in points and whatever. But I agree with the fans. Like, he just hasn't been dominant. There have been so many times this season where in the third period, you're just like, all right, now it's time for Kirill to show up. Now, I give him a little benefit of the doubt because he doesn't have a true number 1 center on his line. It does feel like Zuki is, throwing pucks away and is slowed down a bit here. So, when he's with Boldy, he looks dynamic. And so I just going to be curious what the Wild do. But I think that when you are a superstar and the superstar on the other team, whether it's McDavid or Draisaitl, whether it's Macklin Celebrini, whether it's Connor or Scheifele, when they're outperforming you on almost a nightly basis, you have to start to look in the mirror. And I think the one thing is that he would agree with this. He's been intimating that he's upset that he's not scoring more. So I think that is going to be a big thing. And he'll continue to get chemistry with Quinn Hughes. I sat down with Quinn's parents the other day, and I think it's really neat just how this family and how dynamic they're all 3 of their sons are, but they even talked about how it's an adjustment when you're in one place your entire life and then you go to a new team. You have to get used to each other. So I think Quinn and Kirill, Quinn and Boldy, they'll continue to really develop incredible chemistry. We've started to see that with Faber.
Appreciate the time, and we'll call you next week, see if you have time, okay?
See you, bud.
Thank you, Michael. That's Michael Russo, Russo Radio, at Russo Hockey via X from Tria Rink, Minnesota Wild Morning Skate. The Jets are in town tonight, and if you missed the last little portion of the radio show, no Jonas Brodin out for the morning skate. Jules Eriksson Ek took part in a workout with skating coach Andy Ness, and Philippe Gustafsson was the goaltender. He was out there for about 45 minutes to see if he could go tonight. He's taking part in the morning skate, specifically the line rushes. Radio Joe O'Donnell calls games with Tom Reed on KFAN and the Wild Audio Network. He joins us next from St. Paul on KFAN.
The Fan wants to give you a shot to win some bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword credit at KFAN.com now for your shot winning. That's keyword credit. Enter it now at KFAN.com.
Joe O'Donnell does superb work calling Minnesota Wild games on the radio at Wild Joe Radio via X, and here he is with us at the Wild Morning Skate. Once again, sans Jonas Brodin. Really from under the cover of darkness, from what we understand. No Jonas Brodin. Jewel Erickson Eck is out there. Winnipeg's in town tonight. Listen to Joe and Tom at FM 100.3, KFAN. And Joe joins us now, 10:38. Good morning. Sorry about the loss, man. We'll just begin there. Sorry about the loss.
It's very Minnesotan of you.
What do you mean?
You know how many texts I got from people that are like Minnesotans and non-Eagles fans saying,
no, I'm not talking about the Eagles. No, your Flyers last night to the Buffalo Sabres.
Well, yeah,
I caught them on NHL Network
that's
when
Nordo
told me you were on the show. I'm like, damn, that's a bad run for Radio Joe right now.
Yeah, and the Wild are just
Sabres just killed them.
Just one win in the last 5. So, you go through these stretches as sports fans, as sports teams employees, don't you? And you just got to ride the wave. PA, you just got to ride the wave.
I understand that. You being a low-key an NFL fan, actually high-key an NFL fan, I know you love the NFL and your Eagles. Adam Schefter reported recently that John Harbaugh, he used to be with the Eagles, right?
Special teams coach back in the day.
Oh, that's where he cut his teeth with special teams. Oh, wow, and he was like considered one of the greatest in the history of the NFL at that.
Absolutely.
That he probably, he's back in your division supposedly with the Giants. Oh, no.
Yeah, that's... Look, the Scattaboo and Dart thing this year was a problem when they were healthy.
Don't forget Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, and they missed him for, 13 games or something?
Yeah.
You like Dart? You fear Dart? Don't know what to say about Dart, because that's where I'm at.
I will never tell you I like anybody that plays for that football team. So regardless, they could be the MVP of the league.
Yeah.
I don't respect their game at all. No,
I'm sure you were a big Bill Parcells fan, right, when you were a little Joe in Pennsylvania?
Those two, Dart and Scattaboo, look like, and as you said, neighbors, they look like they have a lot of potential, right? And maybe they're missing that culture setter, that head coach that rights the ship there, and what's been a grease fire since they had their boat photo many years ago.
Your your offensive coordinator lost his job.
Thankfully.
That's really what all
not for
Eagles.
him.
No, I know,
but for the organization.
Right, that's just been the common refrain.
Heads had a roll, man.
Right,
it was bad.
And the thing is, in that Niners,
AJ Brown and the whole thing.
Well, the thing is, despite all the consternation between the coach and AJ, and whatever. I mean, the Eagles crave drama, and they seem to thrive off of it at times. It's through everything. Offensive coordinator now fired. Super big negativity in Philadelphia about the defending champions. They still were right there to win the game.
I know. That's what's crazy.
They played terribly, and they got arguments and stuff, and they almost won.
Yep, maybe a call goes their way. Maybe a non-drop is, maybe they catch the football. Maybe they win the game.
Yeah.
But it was still, the whole year, for a team that had won the Super Bowl, was miserable to watch, if I'm being honest.
Let me ask you this with the team in front of us now. Broad question.
Yep.
How good is the Minnesota Wild?
Really good. Look, when you have 50 games left in a season or 45 games left in a season, you're going to hit your rough spots along the way. There is no way that this team or any team, even the Avalanche have dropped a couple of their last 10, which by their standards is
in a slump.
Right.
They're in a slump. Dallas, I think, at one point was winless in 3, and they've had a great year. So 1 win in the last 5 for the Wild, couple of overtime shootout losses in there. They've got to find a way to get back in the win column. I think they'll be a desperate team tonight. They should have more juice, more energy. They had the last 2 days off, essentially.
Well, just look at this skate.
Yeah.
I mean, they're on fire right now.
I was going to say, I could feel it from up top as soon as they started the drills. It seems like, doesn't matter who's in, who's out of the lineup right now. They know they need a win. They know they need a little bit more energy. I think you'll see that tonight. It's a divisional game. The Jets are playing better hockey. They've won 3 in a row. So I expect this to be a really highly contested, fun game tonight. And this hockey team has made huge strides since October. I think they'll be right there when it comes playoff time and have a real chance to do something special.
Specifically from the vantage point of the Vox Box, the first two against Winnipeg, what stood out to you or has defined those games that kind of leads into the night? You mentioned they've won 3 in a row. The previous 15, though, I think they had a total of 6 points. I mean, just the tough season they've had, but these division games certainly matter.
Yep.
What stood out to you about those first two that kind of gets you peeking ahead to tonight?
Well, we've had 2 overtime games in the season series so far between these sides, and you just expect it's going to be a close one. And I know that Winnipeg's not had the season anybody expected. They won the President's Trophy last year. That's the regular season title. If they were to miss the playoffs this year, I think they become the 4th team ever in NHL history to win the regular season title one year and miss the playoffs the next. So they've got a long way to go. They're 8 points out of a playoff spot, I think, when I looked this morning. They've got 100 teams ahead of them, it feels like. So they have to really take it one game at a time. But anytime you have Connor Hellebuck in net, which the Jets do, and I'm sure he'll get the start tonight, you've got a chance. So for the Wild tonight, for me, it's can they find a way to pot 3 goals? Can they get a little bit more stable goaltending than they've had the last few nights? And they just need to find a way to win a hockey game before they hit the road.
So would you say definitively right now, before the Olympic break into the second half of the season, the Colorado Avalanche are the best team? I mean, they're the best team in the best division.
Yep.
So does that make them the best team in the NHL?
Yeah, I think it'd be crazy to say otherwise right now. I know Tampa's on a heater. I think they've won 10 or 11 in a row.
11, yeah.
And look, Tom Reed, who I love working with, he's seen every Wild game ever. I just respect the heck out of his playing career and his broadcast career, as you guys know. He always talks about sometimes it's when you play a team.
Yeah.
And tonight, if the Wild are without Brodin, maybe they get Eriksson Ek back, but if they don't have Brodin, they don't have Bogosian, like maybe the Jets are without a guy or two. It's like, who are you? When you're playing them, are they on a heater? Do they have everybody? Are they banged up? Are they in a slump? There's a lot of factors that go into it, as you guys know, depending on your sport and your situation where you're at. So, Colorado, they are a handful, and their record shows that, and they've got the experience too. I mean, so many of those guys have won the Stanley Cup just a few years ago as well.
Well, I mean, the when you play them is a major factor in all of sports, no doubt about it. But we're not connecting the dots here. I mean, it's not A has to go to B and that has to go to C. And here's the example: it's the New Jersey Devils. All right, so the Wild get back from that 2-week trip, and they lose to the Islanders, which really didn't surprise me. That first one back's kind of like an extension of a road trip for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
All right, so then you can decompress. I know they've had trouble against the Devils the last few seasons, but the Devils played the day before against Winnipeg. Okay, it was early in the day. Whatever. It's still a back-to-back.
Yep.
And then I start reading up on the Devils a little bit, and I'm like, Dougie Hamilton? Holy cow. I mean, he's a healthy scratch. Well, then they make him active.
Right.
So you just get the feel there were some internal situations taking place.
Yeah.
Devils haven't been anything great, and they don't just win, they smoke the Wild, where you would look at it like you're catching the Devils at a good time.
Agreed. To counterpoint my point, you nailed it right on the head. Sometimes, like you said, it doesn't always make sense. The storylines coming in, you're thinking one thing and something totally different happens. And it was the first clunker for the Wild in quite some time. It was their first loss by 3 or more goals since they played the Avs back on December the 21st, I think it was, at home. So they had gone home, 3+ weeks without losing by 3 goals. So this Wild team's been really good. They've been really consistent. And it was important, and I always felt this when they were on that 7-game heater and back to, 2 7-game winning streak. You got to stack points when you can, because you don't know when the injuries are going to come aboard, or you don't know when you might hit a little funk or go on a tough road trip. And so you got to stack points when you can, because NHL is so much parity. A bad week, and all of a sudden you drop from 8th to 11th in the conference or worse.
You mentioned could be in a little bit of a funk, and into the show today, just kind of prepping and putting things together. That was kind of where my mindset was, Joe, is just you look at the way they've gotten points, I think, in 8 of their last 10, but they've only actually won 4 of those games. You know all that. Is that a funk? Is that a function of, we're talking about when you play teams? This team has had trouble against the Kings for as long as I can freaking remember.
Yeah.
And you think about just the grueling nature of that 2-week stretch. Are they in a funk, or did they really just meet a brick wall of circumstance and schedule?
Well, are you a glass half full guy or not? Really? Right. That's how you have to look at it.
It's the time slot. I'm glass half full.
Right. So if you're getting a point most nights, you're going to probably make the playoffs. And so, as you say, Well, they've only won 4 of 10, but they got points in, 6 or 8 of them. So it's like, how do you want to look at it? I tend to look at it as, again, stacking points is the most important thing. At some point there's going to be real stretches where maybe you lose 3 or 4 in a row in regulation, but hopefully then you win 3 or 4 or 5 coming out of it. So this team has been really consistent home and road. Special teams, I know, is one thing John Hines would like to see improve, but their 5-on-5 game has been strong for 6+ weeks now. And again, I feel like the goaltending. If we get Volstead and Gustafsson to play to where they played for that month and a half stretch there, anything close to that the rest of the way, this team will be just fine.
All right, at Wild Joe Radio via X. Many of you follow him. If you don't follow him, as 9 to Noon does. Because I would imagine coming up shortly here is the Morning Skate Minute.
Yeah.
We got the Morning Skate. What's on tap for the Morning Skate Minute?
Hopefully I get it done in the morning. That's the key to the Morning Skate Minute. Well,
we're going to go to break in a second. Just turn around with your camera, and there you are.
Doesn't always go as planned. But, yeah, we'll catch up with John Hines here in a minute, see what he's got to say, and then see what the Jets have going at their morning skate and piece it all together for a quick little 90-second or less preview of the game.
Yeah, they're cool. I watch every
Thanks,
one.
buddy.
Thank you, bud. That's Joe O'Donnell. Listen to him tonight on KFAN, called The Wild and the Jets, 1048. Marcus Foligno, he'll be joining 9 to Noon shortly. Up on 11 o'clock. It is a rapidly flowing Box in the Box. First Box in the Box for 9 to Noon.
Good to be back.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Shows here, they just, at least, I can't speak for the listener. It's like people will be to me like, hey, how was the show today? And I appreciate the question, but its beauty is in the ear of the beholder. Yeah. So I may think, technically speaking, things did or did not go the way I wanted them to. But its beauty's in the ear of the beholder. But so therefore, why I lead up with that is because A, I and we always have a good time when we're here.
Oh, yeah.
B, the shows fly by. We're almost at 11 o'clock, man. Feels like we were talking about Jules-Eric Sinek and Leonardo da Vinci with Heinze 10 minutes ago. And there's just a lot going on. It's we roll in here for Vox in the Box, and then you talk to the coach, and we get up to speed on things that casual hockey fans don't want to miss when you have the privilege to be at a pro team's practice and skate. So we don't want to roll in here and be like, oh, geez, what happened here? How come, I didn't know this guy was out. Right. So we were up to speed with Jules-Eric Sinek and Bogosian and some other things that have taken place of late. But then, Kevin Gorg starts the show asking a question about 14, Jules-Eric Sinek. And 10 minutes after that, he's out on the ice for about 45 minutes, just busting butt around the ice with skating coach Andy Ness, and shooting and quick stopping and circumnavigating and stuff like that. So then he chills for a little bit. The big key is, does he come back for the line rushes at the morning skate? Well, the answer to that was yes. So the deduction is going to be he will play this evening. So then Russo Radio rolls in at 10 o'clock, and we had written down in our notes, for me it was like David Spacek. Yeah. All right, I've heard the name. Who is he, and why was he called up today? And then Russo's like, well, morning skate begins in 14 minutes. Be curious to see if 25's out there.
Oh, great.
So then I'm going through the tweet machine like, well, nobody said, where'd this come from? Well, then Brodin is not at the morning skate. So Brodin probably is not going to play tonight. That was from under the cover of darkness. Well, then now the next thought is a couple of things. A, he's really good, and he helps a lot. But B, how long? the Russo radio's like, well, I mean, the Olympic break's coming up in a few weeks and everything, and, I think the thought for him would be not necessarily how quickly he can get back here, because that'll take care of itself, but is this going to be a situation where he misses legit time, even if it's a month and a half, and misses the Olympics because he's on his country's Olympic team? And there's just a lot going on right now. I don't know. First time I've seen Quinn Hughes in person. He was just right below us. I mean, you talk about somebody who looks like a rink rat. I mean, my man is just all hockey. You can just look at him and be like, just his hair, his countenance, the way he interacts with people. I mean, we knew about him and we followed him from afar. He's stone cold rink rat, man.
Well, I feel that, and maybe this happens with
it's a long ass morning skate too.
It is, and maybe it's just a couple of days off. They're going hard today, and they want to get it against the Jets tonight. But I feel like this happens to us maybe every year, where we make the true transition. Viking season sadly doesn't go the way we want to, and then we just kind of get in the rhythm of simultaneously not necessarily playing full catch-up, but officially just sinking our teeth into the state of hockey and what's going on in front of us now. But everybody in the NHL is immensely talented, right? And that's the same case NFL. The worst player in the NFL was the pride of his hometown in high school, was an elite college player, and found their way into a pro job. But some guys are just different. 97's different. We get that. Boldy becoming different. When you see Quinn Hughes in person, there is a vibe to how he exists and operates on the ice. That it's not like we don't love having Spurgeon on the team. It's not like we don't appreciate and love Brock Faber at a high level. Quinn Hughes is just freaking different to how he operates, how he moves.
That's what I'm noticing here. That's what I was trying to say.
No, he's just on a completely separate level than many in the league, and that's, again, to the state of the hockey and the hardcores, most obvious thing you'll hear all morning. But that's one of my favorite things about doing the Vox in the Box shows, and we saw Heinze off the 2-day layoff. A couple of gather round, let's talk moments during this skate so far for a team. I mean, just the ebbs and flows, long season, 82 games, soon to be 84, which is insane to me.
Right. I didn't know about that. Did you?
Yes, I did know. It's one of those things you forget about, but I had read about it maybe a year ago that eventually 2026, 27 was happening. I just can't believe. You mentioned cash is king when we were talking with Russo. Just kind of the idea you're gonna rip a couple more regular season games into the mix, but then you're also going full bore NHL players back in the Olympics. We had the Four Nations bit last year, as awesome as that is. But I wonder, how much of this cash is king NHL thinking, we need to do something with our salary cap. We're watching the NFL. I saw some number. I don't know why I was deep diving the CFL, but they're
Canadian Football League.
Yeah, but
what the hell are you doing?
I think like the Stampeders or the Alouettes or whatnot, like their team salary cap's like $6 or $7 million, and meanwhile we've watched what the NFL has done via TV deals and things in recent years. And how insane that number is, right? And everybody gets a TV deal, like a $400 million check every spring,
right?
And the NHL trying in their own right to figure out their finances and continue that evolutionary process. COVID was kind of a hit for a lot of people, including the league and those sorts of things. So the cash is king nature of it, but specifically going back now to our team, nasty-ass road trip. Team had just gotten really fully healthy, or almost 99% healthy, 2-3 weeks ago. And now you're talking about missing Brodin out of the mix. It's just the toe stubbing that potentially takes place in some of these seasons and some of these stretches. So surviving Brodin, making it 3-3 against the Jets. A couple A topics certainly into tonight.
We're going to pause. Marcus Foligno with the Minnesota Wild should join us around the corner from Tria Rink in St. Paul. You're listening to The Fan.